Okay, so we are doing class and objects. Okay, and in the last session, we started talking about it. So we said that, okay, you need to declare a class using the keyword called class, and then you give a class name. Okay, so class name is a collection of variables and functions, right? Or methods, what we call functions in a class, we call them as methods. So we start with, so let's say here I gave total books, okay, equal to 0. Now, when you define a variable in class like this, it is a class level variable, okay? So this will be common for all the objects. This is what we have seen. Class, so it says class variable. So like when you talk about shape of an apple, right? So whether you talk about Indian apple or foreign apple, all this apple will have same shape. So variables which are common for all the objects, okay, we define them in a class so that we don't have to copy it again and again, right? So if you have, if this was not the case, then every time you create an object, you have to create a shape called apple shape, and every object will have the same shape. So if every object has same shape, then why not declare it as as a class level. So in this case, like we talk about population or number of books, when you add books, so books information will be different. Let's say if you are you are in charge of a library, so your library will have multiple books, right? Different types of, the title will be different, but the count will be same. Whether you have one book in the library or 10 books or 100 books, doesn't matter number of objects, right? It's like it talks about number of books. So in this case, number of books will be your something which is common for all the objects. So I'm declaring at class level. Then we can declare a method. So we can say declare a method like def def in okay. So we have not done in it. Let's say get data or something, we'll say get data, right? Automatically self will be added, and what we discussed was that you can use any other word instead of self. ऐसे बैठ जाऊं, गर्दन दुखेगा, चेयर को उधर ले सकते हो, हाँ ऐसे बैठ जाओ बेटर. So so get data is a method where we are going to add something. Okay, so I'm just adding a simple print statement. Here I'm saying hello, right? So this is a class with one class variable and one object function, object method. Why this is object method? Because you see we added self here. It need not be, okay? It need not be self, it can be something else. You can add any other, okay? I can write mine or whatever, right? Or obj or whatever you write, okay? Doesn't matter, okay? It's still an object level method, just to indicate that we are going to use obj for object level. But self is the what do you call, like globally recognized keyword. So let's use self only. Okay, this is the globally recognized word, so we'll use self. Okay. Sorry, what was that?
Are you sharing anything? As of now, I can see.
Oh, did I? Oh, I'm so sorry.
No worries. Yeah. I raised my hand also, I thought.
So we just wrote this class books and added this variable 0. And then I have written this method get data, and I said hello. Okay. So this is a simple class declaration. And as I said, class is just to declare, but to use it, you have to create an object. You cannot use just like that. You have to create an object. So how do we create an object of a class? Okay. So we create object of a class by creating the object name. Let's say B1 equal to books. Okay. And then we put bracket open and close next to it. Okay. Now we put bracket open and close next to it. So your book 1 is declared. Okay. Now, now it is time for us to call the members of this, right? I want to see total books. I can say print. Okay. total books equal to, okay, and I say here, total, okay. Now, total books is this, but now see here, when I'm saying total, PyCharm is not recommending me. It's not telling me what would come here, right? It's not telling me because this is not a normal variable. This variable is inside the class. So there are three ways to call this. Either you call using object dot total books, or you call using class name. Class name dot total books. Okay. So now when you run it, okay, so both using both ways you can access this. Since it's a class level will also give you the value, and your object, okay, will not have any problem getting the values as well. Okay. Now, let's say I want to pass some value to it. Okay, I want to pass name here. So that, okay, so let's say, or since we're talking about books, let's say we put title here. Okay, and we'll put one more variable called author. Okay. So I want to create a book, okay, book object. Every time I create a book object, I should be able to add title and author to it. Okay, I should be able to add title and author to it. Now, when I call this here, okay, what happens? This get data is a method inside this class, right? This is not getting called, right? So you have to call this. So how do we call this? We'll say b1 dot get data. Okay. So now, okay, let me delete it for now. Okay, and then I'll show you how it gets called, and then we will add those two variables. So hello is getting called, right? You can call get data. And now if I try to call using books, book is the class name. Okay, what happens? Okay, so book is thinking it as a normal function. It says self value is missing. So since it's an object level, okay, it's better that you call using object name, not the class name, right? This is the difference. When I say B1, it's not throwing any error. It assumes, it knows, not assumes, it knows that self word will be there. Self word indicates object level. So self word will be there and indicates object level, right? Okay.
What is the use of this?
We'll learn and then we'll talk about the use. Okay. So use for class and object is, last week I told you, I gave you example, right? When I say I'm eating apple, you will not be surprised. But when I say I'm playing cricket with apple, you'll be shocked. Why? Because you don't associate playing cricket with apple. Okay. So all the related, properties are together. For when we did append, okay, in list. So you have all those methods listed under list. So the moment you create list, two things. Moment you create a list object, all those properties get associated. Now, if you do not create class and objects, then you will have a lot of functions that you have to create for everything. And you have to pass value. Okay. So for example, okay, for a minute, let's forget this and take this example. When I say L1 equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And now if I say L1 dot append, I give 5. Now since I'm using L1 dot, okay, and append belongs to, okay, belongs to class called list. So it knows that it needs to take the value from L1 and it needs to perform. Now, if append was not a member of class, then what you have to do, you have to create append. You have to write L1, okay, comma 5, okay, or 6, whatever. Okay, so you have to pass L1 also every time. And you don't know which function will work, which function will not work. Right? So append hai ki nahi hai yahan pe? Okay, can I use append? Because see, append will have some code. And this append is relevant to list or not, you don't know. Point one. And every time you have to pass L1, and then you have to say L1 equal to get the output. So two things is, you don't know which are relevant, which are not relevant. Okay. Can I eat apple? Is it relevant to apple or not? Playing cricket, because you have all those verbs, but are those verbs relevant to apple or not? So when you create a class like this, so in this example, I'm saying only get data is relevant for books. Nothing else is relevant. But you'll have hundreds of other functions. Are they relevant or not? You don't know. Now, for append, for list, we use append, but for dictionary, we use update. We don't have append there. But if you do not have class and objects or class called list, then if you have a dictionary, you will try to call append and it'll give you error. So one thing is that to create or collect similar properties together. So the moment I say L1 dot, I'll be able to see all the related methods which are available for me to use. Otherwise, I will not know which are used. And second thing is, data is automatically handled in the class. You don't have to pass the variable again and again. Okay, so here, if I have to call a global function, I have to call L1 and then I have to read this value, right? But when you call L1 dot, we don't have to tell L1 is 2, 3, 4, 5 because it knows L1 is 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you say 6, it knows that I need to add to L1 and L1 will be automatically updated with 6. So data consistency, okay? Data consistency and related properties together you can form, okay? I can have two lists, right? I can have two lists, right? No problem. You will have access to each of these lists, irrespective of how many lists you create. Because when I say L1.append, it knows that it has to add only to this, not here. So data, multiple copies of data can be maintained without one intersecting another. So it's like, bad example, but understand this way. It's like having swimming pool in your own house or going to a public swimming pool, right? So think of those advantages, okay? When I say I'm going to swimming pool, it is my own swimming pool. Then I'm going to public, okay? And many people will come. You don't know where to put clothes and things like that. Here, if you have in your own house, you can enjoy, no problem. So same thing here. When you create, append is only for list, no problem. Otherwise, should I use append for dictionary or not? Should I use append for string or not? Confused because you have so many functions. So grouping, making sure that it is relevant to one set of values. And second thing, obviously, is data consistency is maintained. You can leave your stuff full. Nobody will take away. But public, you have to go carry, bring it back, go carry, bring it back, right? I have to say L1 equal to append, pass L1, then values here. Simply L1.append. It knows that it has to take value from L1 and append 6 to it. Okay, so two main reason why class and objects is used. But more than that, what I feel it is useful is, this is the real way of doing program. Okay, or let me change it, let me put it differently. This is real way how things work. Okay, think of each of us as an object of class human being, right? I say this is my laptop, right? So this becomes mine. It's not yours. That's what it means. One. Second thing, okay, is as a human being, you see, we are here for class, right? We started this class and we will end it in some time. Then you will go and do something else. So you as a person will not change. I as a person will not. After this, maybe I'll go and do something else. So your data, which is you and I, is a data, right? Here it is doing append. Then next time you can do it insert. Next time you can do it. So same form, same person is doing all these things. Compare it to what we have been doing so far. So far, what we've been doing is called functional way of programming, not class and object way of programming. You create multiple functions. So what happens? You create a function, okay, and then you pass some data, and when function ends, data is dead. It's not like that we are born only for this class, right? It's not that when class starts, we all are created, and class that we all destroy. So that is what happens in functions. Function you start on variable and function ends, variable is finished, no more variable. That's not how real life is. So to mimic real life situation in programming, class and object is work. So you create an object, that object is available every time. Okay, when you want to perform append, you perform append. You want to perform insert, you perform insert. Just like human being. Morning we are doing something else, afternoon we are doing something else, evening we are doing something else. It's my wish, whatever I want to do. So object will say my wish, whatever I want to do. Okay, so it is same B1. Okay, if I say L1 dot append or L1 dot insert or L1 dot something else, it is same L1. It is same U, same I. So okay, so that's why this concept came that okay, can we mimic real world? So class and object is mimicking real world situation. And real world situation means similar data, okay, related stuff. Now you use it, it becomes easier to use. Okay, it saves a lot of time, lots a lot of lines of code to write. You don't have to use a lot of variables to use. So that's the advantage.
Like L1 is object over here,
L1 is object of class list.
class list. And
B1 is object of class books.
books.
Books is where you define all the properties. List is where you define all the properties. So, in our case, list is already defined, pre-built class. This is, we have created this class. So there will be something like this for list. There will be something like this for dictionary. It's already done. We are simply calling and using them.
L1 is object, and append is function or class.
No, class is list.
Class
Append is your function. Function means method, right? So this is like a function inside a class, which is method. Method and functions are same.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of defining it, so it's like it's method or function here.
Function inside a class is called method. It's exactly same function.
Okay.
Just to differentiate, you have to give them different name. We say method and function. That's it. That's the only difference. It's exactly the same.
If you're using inside class, then it is method.
Method, yes. If you're writing individual function, it's function. So len is a function, input is a function, print is a function, but dot append, dot insert, okay, dot update, these are your method. So when you talk about method, you have to talk about class also. Method of which class? Append is a method of which class? Okay, that way. Function, you don't have to talk about which class, but method, you always link it with a class. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll delete this, not required for us. So now I'm saying get data. When I say get data, okay, get data hello is called. Now I want to add title and author. So every time you create a book object, I want to associate that book with a title and author. So now when I run it, it will say that 2 missing parameter, not 3 missing, 2 missing. It knows that it's object, so it knows that self will be there. It is apart from self, apart from whatever first word that you write. Apart from first word, 2 required missing argument. 2 required positional argument are missing, right? So let's say for this, I give title called as Python, author called as Rohit. Now I create another object. I'll call B2 here. Okay, and I'll say B2 dot get data. Now the advantage here is, I told you, right? These are the 2 different objects. This is like Kashmiri apple. This is like, I don't know, maybe Himachal apple, maybe. So these are 2 different apples. They belong to same class apple because both are apple. But individually, when you are looking at them, they are different. Okay. So I'm saying B1, B2. So this is Python book and this is SQL book, let's say. Okay, so this is your Python book. This is your SQL book. So B1 is linked to Python, Rohit, and B2 is linked to SQL and Virat. So you asked me the advantage, right? I told you we don't have to pass the data. Now here I create a new method called def put data or something. Self. Now I can say print title of the book is self dot title. Okay. Self dot. Okay. I did not assign self. So I have to assign also here. So self dot title equal to title. So I'm saying I'm creating a object variable. This is your object variable. This is object method and this is object variable. How do you know this is object variable? Because we said self dot. We are representing object using the keyword called self. We are representing object with keyword called self, and I'm saying self dot. When I say self dot, that means this variable title has become object level variable. Okay. Similarly, I will and see though that I'm using same name here, title comma title. Okay, it means that it's a different one. It's a different variable. So I'm here, I'm saying author, I'm using. So author is a regular variable, which is being passed to this, right? And writer is a variable which I'm creating for object. So this becomes object level variable. Self.writer, self.title. These are your object variables, not this. See, this does not have any prefix. So these are like your normal function variables. These are like your normal
Self dot writer.
object के लिए. This, so I'm saying this belongs to the object. This is specific to the object. Which object? Which I'm going to create later. So if I'm calling B1, okay, so this title and author will get associated with B1. If I call this using B2, this value will get associated with B2. This is how the life is maintained for the data. So when I call here title, it knows which variable to print it here. Okay, when I say author of the book, okay, it means I'm using a writer and putting it here. So self indicates the object level variable. So you know the state or the life is maintained. So am I passing any variable here? No, but still it will be able to get these values because we are saying object level. This is like regular variable that we have been seeing so far. This variable, okay, is declared here, and after end of this function, it's gone. Nobody will know what title and author is. But self.title, self.author, people will remember forever. As long as this object is there, the variable will be associated with itself.
If we are get data, self, title, author, we had given first. And later, if we are giving only self and still we are using the self dot title and self dot write, so it will have the same properties.
Yes, same value.
Okay.
It has same value. Same variable, same value.
So once we are defining the self title is equal to title. So that title first that get data also is taking, put data also is taking same.
All the members in the class will have same value. Okay, all the members in the class will have same value whether you define it or not. Okay. Okay, so now when I'm calling get data, so values are getting added. Python and Rohit is getting added. Okay, now you see I'm saying b1 dot get data, correct? So b1 dot Python and Rohit. So b1 is your this object first time. So see, get data will have multiple copies. When you say b1 dot get data and b2 dot get data, one copy will get associated with b1, other copy will get associated with b2. Okay. Similarly, now when I say here b2 dot put data. Now when I say b2 dot put data, I'm calling which one? Put data, and I'm associating with b2. So when put data is called, it will take the title and writer of b2. So it maintains multiple copies and it knows which value belongs to which variable. So it maintains not 2 copies of title and 2 copies of writer. And they're associated with b1, b2 also it knows. So now when you run it, see it says SQL. There is no confusion in the mind of object. Which variable to call, it knows automatically.
Even if you put B1 is also put data, then also it will Python and Rohit will come.
Yes, no. Python and Rohit will come. Yes, yes. Okay, if you say B1, because B1 is associated with Python and Rohit. So that's the beauty of object, not class, object. Object will have different copies for different. So this is the advantage I told you. You don't have to pass variables around, passing one variable to another. You don't know where the value is getting changed. Okay, so here only one place value is changed and everywhere else we are using it. So it maintains the same copy. Right? So this is your object level. Now you see, I want to increase the count of this total book, right? Now we created 2 books, right? We need to increase the count of this book. Now, where should we add this count? Should we add in get data or put data? Because there are 2 functions we are calling, 2 methods we are calling. Okay, so these are 2 methods we are calling. Where should we add? Get data or put data? So we are adding values and get data. So get data is the best place to increase the book count, right? So I'm going to copy this variable and I'm going to paste it here. Now, total books, is it a regular variable? No. Is it an object variable? No. It is a class variable, isn't it? So we have to treat it like a class variable. Now, class variable is different than object variable and like a different than normal variable, which is neither class nor object. These are like a normal variable, which life will end. But these are your object variable. But we're dealing with total books, which is a class level. So for the class level, you have to put class name here. You need to put class name here. Okay, plus equal to 1. That means I'm adding one value to. Sorry.
On what basis it will be added?
On what? No, I'm just adding. So whenever you're getting get data, right? If you call get data 100 times it will be added. Okay, because the class level. So it is at class level. Values will be at class, not specific to object. Self dot is the object level. So specific to object, copies are maintained. But it's a class level. Book is a class level. So at class level, data is maintained. Right? Any question? Okay. So what we'll do, we'll see the usage of this, then we'll take quick 5 minutes break. Okay, so that you recollect what we have done. So now total book is increasing. This is how you call the class level variable, class name dot variable. Now I can say print here. total books equal to, now which variable should I call? Now so technically speaking, you should say books dot total books, but even if you call B1 or B2, it will be, it will be same. Class level variable, so value changes, okay, it will have, all will have same value. B1 is not giving different or B2 is not giving different because the class level variable. Anytime it's changed, all the object will know the latest value of the class level variable. All the object will know the value of the variable. Okay. Let's do one more function here. Okay. So we have seen class level variable, we have seen object level variable and object level method. What we are missing is class level method, right? So there are 4 types of members, right? Class variable, class method, object variable, object method. So there is one small trick that you have to apply to create a class method. Class methods are used very rarely compared to like object methods. It's less, but it is, of course, it is useful. So what I'll do here, I'll create a class level method, right? To create class level method, you have to specifically mention that it's a class level method. So you will say @ class method. You will say @ class method. @ class method means you're creating a method at a class level. Okay, this is compulsory. This is compulsory for creating class method. Now you say def count book or something else. Count books. Now you see, Python is intelligent. Why? When I said class method, it's putting CLS, not self. Now again, you can put anything. Okay, you can put CLS, you can put ALS, PLS, whatever you want to put, you can put. But CLS is the global way of putting class here. So I'm not putting CLF, I'm putting class. But before putting class, you have to put @ class method in the top. And the next line you will say count books CLS. Okay. Now when I go here, I can declare, this is class level, remember. So I cannot print object value. I can't say self.author because if I try to do self.author, it will not know should I print B1 self.author or B2 because it's a class at a high level. If I'm saying apple, you'll be wondering, why am I talking about Himachal apple or Kashmiri apple? Because I have not indicated, it's a class level. How many fruits are there? Doesn't matter whether it is Himachal or Kashmiri, right? You will say 2 fruits. So here I'm going to say print total books in the library are. Okay, are. Now you can use here books, right? But since we're in class method, we don't have to write books. We can simply say CLS dot total books. To indicate that is a class level variable, right? And now I can say here B2 dot count books. See, count books. That's it. You run it. Okay, so you still get same value. So this is how you define class level method. All right. So you see this, okay? We created these 2 functions, right? Now, logically, if you see, get data has to be called for every situation. Every object that you call, you have to call get data, isn't it? Because get data is initializing the values. Okay. So now if I forget to call get data, let's say. And then if I try to call put data, right, it'll give you error. Why? Because title has not been initialized, right? It is in get data that we are initializing the values like title and author, right? Title and writer. So if you forget to call get data, then you won't have access to other things. And anyway, if this is something which has to be done every time, why not automate it, right? Automation means this particular function, okay, will be called the moment you create an object. Where are we creating object? Which line are we creating object? In which line number are we creating object? Where line number 20 and
25.
Yes, we are creating object in line number 20 and 21, right? So the moment object is created, if get data is called, it is better, right? It is good. So what we will do is we will replace this get data function name with init. Okay. So when you call init, okay, what happens? Okay, so two things. You see here, we write underscore init underscore. Whenever you see a function, method, variable with double underscore, something double underscore, it means it has a predefined meaning. Okay, it has a predefined meaning, and we will see some of these as we go along. Okay, we have done one of these things, main, name, main. They also had underscore, right? So whenever you see that underscore, something underscore, that means it's a predefined. Like name has a predefined the file name which it is running. Init is a method, that was a variable. Here it is a method which tells you that this function or this method has to run. This method has to run automatically. This method has to run automatically when the object is called. Okay, so init is short form for initialization. Generally, we use to initialize variables, right? If you see here, we are initializing variables only. So now in this case, init will be called here itself automatically. Okay, because it is a predefined method, which means the moment object is created, init should be called. The moment object is created, init should be called. So this is where your init will be called, line number 20 and 21. So now anyway, we don't have get data, right? So no need to do get data. Instead, okay, let me do one thing. Let me not change it in this file. I'll give you the copy of this and I will copy this, move to different file, and here I will change it. So that you have access to both the versions. Okay, so I'm creating init and init will be called the moment you create the object, right? Now, in this case, get data is not required, right? Here itself, you need to pass the values because init is called here. So init takes two parameters. These two parameters will be called here. Now, when you run it, okay, see, there is no change in the output. Reason being, you are saving some line of code, right? Because something that you have to do every time anyway, why not automate? That's the logic. Why not automate it? So we said, okay, by putting as init, we are automating it. By putting as this, we are automating it. Okay. So init is called the moment you create an object, init is called. Make sense? So this is called init. And this is how your program is called. Okay, so this is a normal, simple program. This is how your class program will look like. Okay, next, we are going to talk about properties of class and object. Okay, what are the properties of class and object? There are four important properties. It's called inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Encapsulation means, okay, data hiding. You want to hide the data. Okay, abstraction means information, details hiding. Then you have polymorphism and inheritance. Okay, so let's talk about inheritance. It says inheriting properties from another class. So we have a book class, we can create another class, and whatever you are doing in other class will also be inherited by this class. Okay, so here we are creating parent-child kind of relationship. We are creating parent-child kind of relationship. Okay, so you have parent and you have child. That means child will inherit properties from parent. So child will have whatever child has, whatever objects. When I say whatever, it means your variables and methods. So child class will have whatever variable, methods and variables you add, plus the parent's properties. Okay, that means your variables and methods will also be accessible to child. Okay. So let's say so we have this class. Now I create one more class called as library, let's say. Okay. And in library, I add a method called lib name or something like this. Okay. I am being called from library. Okay, you have this. So now these are two different classes. There is no connection, there is no linkage between these two classes. They are totally different. What I will do now here is I will write like function, and here I will say library. So see, this is how I remember. Look at any of your certificate, passport, Aadhaar card or whatever. They will have your parents' name. Okay, on your Aadhaar card, you'll have your parents' name. On your parents' Aadhaar card, will they have your name? No. So this is parent. Parent will not have information about child. So this is like a parent Aadhaar card, right? They don't have your information. But your information will have parents' information. So you are able to trace back to your parent this way. You can't trace forward. Parent to child, you can't come. But from child to parent, you can go. So inheritance is from child to parent. Okay. So when I put bracket library, it means I'm saying library is the parent class and books is the child class. All the properties here, you see there's a property called lib name, which is associated with library. Now, this can be an independent class. This is an independent class. You don't have to worry about it. You can use it just like independent class. But advantage here is your your books will also have access to lib name. Just like you have access to put data. So if I go here and I say B1 dot, now you see, you have total books, title, put data, all these things, and you also have lib name. So from user perspective, okay, you don't know whether lib name is in library or books. It behaves as if it is in books only. Though it is not in book, it is in library. But since we are saying that library is the parent class, okay, it is behaving as if it is in books class only. Right? This is called inheritance. You can inherit the properties of your parent class. Now, inheritance can be into multiple forms. Okay, so I'm going to open Paint. Give me a second. And so you have, let's say, your parent class. This is your library, right? This is what we do to library. Then you have another class. This is books, right? So now you see, what we just did is this. Okay, we said books, library. So library is accessible to books. This is what we just did. But what I'm saying is you can have another parent. You can have another parent. This is called simple inheritance. It's called base class and derived class. Okay, we call this as base class, or you can say parent class. Base class or parent class, and this is derived class. Okay, or child class. So your library and book is your base and derived, right? Now, if you see here, we can have school name, whatever. You can have something. Now, when I'm saying here, I'm saying book has now 3 parent class. So book, so you write class books, right? Class books. Now you say library, comma, S, comma, A. When I say library, comma, S, comma, A, that means I'm saying book has now 3 classes. Book has now 3 classes. Okay. And book will be able to access properties of all 3 classes. Book will be able to access properties of all 3 classes without any problem. Okay. So whatever you do here it is available to book. Okay. So, so this is called complex inheritance. Simple inheritance, complex. You can have one more child here. And you can say library is parent of this. So any kind of combination you can think of is possible. You have another class here. Okay. This could be parent of this. This could be parent of this. In fact, you can have another class here. Okay. Which means this is parent of this class. This is parent of this class. This is called multi-level. We are going beyond 2 level, 3 level, 4 level, right? So any combinations you can think of is possible, but the basic properties that we're going to talk about remains the same. What is the basic property? We're talking only about inheritance now. We'll talk about other 3 also later. Inheritance, we are saying that parent properties are accessible by child classes. So in this case, if you see, in this case, this fellow will have properties of this class, will have properties of this class, will have properties of this class, as well as properties of this class, because this is grandfather. So you'll have access of grandfather properties also. So all the parents, super parents, so base class, super class, right? So you have base of base class, right? So this is also coming. So kind of this fellow will have properties of, and see this is coming through this. So this will have properties of all the classes except this, because there is no way connection from here to here. So this will not have access to this property, but it will have access to all the 5 classes properties. The concept remains same. So it's not just the previous, but previous to previous also is accessible. Because see, this property is accessible to this. So that means this has this property. So when I say this is derived, so obviously this property will come to you. Yes, tell me.
Unlike in derived you have said we can have from base. Can we have the derived from like books also we can have, like library, school and all those having in that middle one?
This one, like this,
In that side way.
like this.
Side way, like in middle, from there to middle,
Yeah,
like this, but.
here.
Like you can sit there also or in down one also.
No, here I understood. This is actually this is possible, but down one I'm asking you because I'm not getting it. See, down. See, this is child, correct? So how can you have another relationship like this?
Not above, in horizontal.
Like this?
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
So what happens? This will have this also as parent, this also as parent. So this will get properties of these three plus this one. It is possible. I mean, it's not like you cannot have like 1 to 2, 2 to 1. But 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 1, like this combination is possible. Okay. So for this guy, this is parent and this is grandparent. Parent also, grandparent also. Yeah. So this is possible. You can have that relationship. Okay. So this is your inheritance. So now if I go back to our program, what I'll do is I'm going to create another class here. I'll call this as class test or text. Okay, text display or something. I don't know. I just wanted to write test, but it became text. Now here I'm saying, okay, the parent class is books. Okay, now I will put some def display print display in text display. Okay, now when I create an object of this class, T1 equal to text display, and now I say T1 dot, you see, all of them are available. All of them are available because this is child, right? So you have display, put. Now problem with if I use put, then it will throw error because put expects two values, isn't it? Put expects two values. See, in library, we are not declaring any variable. So there's no problem accessing it. But put has problem here. What problem? Put has a problem here because we are not calling this. So if in such situation, what we do is, okay, we create init for put. We create init and I'm saying print init in text display, something like this. Okay, init in text display. Now you see, since I can call, if I'm allowed to, I can call books. So what I will do here, I will say, okay, init, you take title and author also. And in this, you call init. Which init? Books.init. And you pass okay. Now when you create this, it will ask you to create pass two values, right? Because init is accepting author, title and author, right? So I'm going to give here waste management author, let's say Dhoni. Now when I do put data here, what happens? Dhoni and waste management. So you can call init of parent class because put data needs data. Put data cannot work like this. It needs data. So I have said.
If we directly put data will keep waste management going, then it won't change it.
Where will you put data? Or where would you put waste management put data? Put data does not take any variable, isn't it? Does it take any argument here? Doesn't take any argument, isn't it? So how can you put data here? Your function should match, no? Arguments should match. We have discussed 4 type of arguments: required, positional, keyword, and variable length. So only those you can use. So it does not accept, so we cannot pass. So if you are using, you have to call the init and assign the value. So now see, for us, it looks like as if text display is only taking title and author. Text display is taking title and author, but actually it is calling. This is how you save writing code also. Okay, if you are implementing something, say class and subclass, we say fruit and we say apple. Fruit is your main class and apple is your second class. Now, there are some properties which are common for all the fruit, right? There is some biological description. That's what they call fruit, right? Those you can put it in fruit class. And things which are specific to apple only, you put in special apple class. You don't have to put everything again in apple class. Okay, so if you have a one parent class called fruit and you have multiple classes, fruit, like apple, orange, banana. So what is common between apple, orange, banana? You put it in the parent class. Okay, and your derived class will be able to call parent and its own. So what is unique to apple, you put it in apple, right? What is unique to orange will be in orange. But what is common for apple, orange, banana will be in the fruit class. So as a user, you don't know that it is implemented outside Apple. You'll have access to only Apple class. But you don't know that, okay, there are some properties not in Apple, but outside, because for us, it looks as if it is within Apple. But from a development perspective, from writing program perspective, you are able to save time and effort, right? And you're not duplicating the code. We know the problem of duplication of code, right? Maintenance is problem. Tomorrow, if you have to change something, you have to change at multiple places. You have to change it at 3 different places. So in such case, instead of writing 3 different classes, we'll create 4 classes, 1 parent and 3 classes. Common thing, we'll put it in the parent. Okay, so this also talks about, like, abstraction, polymorphism, and polymorphism we'll see it. Abstraction is a different way, but in a way, abstraction means you're abstracting the information or implementation information from the user. How you implement is your responsibility. If I'm using, when we are using append or update, we only need to know what it takes and what it gives. We are not bothered about how it does inside. That is called abstraction. You are hiding the implementation detail. You don't need to know. For example, if you take plus sign can be used to add 2 numbers, can be used to add 2 string, can be used to add 2 list. Same plus we have seen to add 2 numbers, 5 plus 3 will give you 8. If you have to do 2 string, 5 plus 3 will give you 53. 2 list, it will combine them together as 1. So is it same plus? No, it's not same plus, it's different plus, right? That's why it's doing different job. It is different plus, it is doing different job. But from a user perspective, we don't need to know which plus should I call for adding 2 numbers, which plus should I call to concatenate 2 string. You just call plus, based on the values, it knows, okay, I need to call this plus or that plus. Implementation detail is hidden from you. Polymorphism, multiple forms. 1 plus sign has multiple forms. We are going to write something similar. Next will be polymorphism. How to write? Multiple forms. So what it says is implementation details should be hidden from the user. Based on what you provide, it should be able to call the right class. Right? So now, for example, plus itself. I will write a logic for plus, but I will write 3 different classes. For 1 class for adding numbers, 1 class for adding string, and 1 class for adding list. Okay, and I can name it XYZ, something else. And I'll create 1 class for plus. Okay, and what I will do, I will take the input, I will see the type of data. Okay, the data type, if data type is equal to integer, I will call XYZ. So XYZ is getting called. But for us, it feels as if plus is only doing the work. So plus will call XYZ class if the data type is integer, it will call PQR if it is data type is string, and it will call ABC, data type is list. Okay, but all this calling is done using class called plus. So plus becomes an abstract class. For a user, for you and me, we don't need to see what's happening. So what they say is, if you take car, for example, you don't need to know how accelerator works, brake works, clutch works, isn't it? You just need to know what happens when we do this. Okay. To become a good driver, you don't need to be a good mechanic, right? Mechanic job is separate, driver job is separate. You may be a very good driver, maybe a very bad mechanic. Possible. Because to drive the car, you don't need to know the mechanic job. So we are like mechanics. We are going to develop classes. The users who is going to use, for example, somebody has developed the list class. We are using list class. So we are good at using list class. We don't need to know what's happening inside. Abstraction. Information is hidden from the user. That's the beauty of classes. Okay. This advantage is that you don't have to let you, otherwise I have to remember 10 different plus. Okay, which functions for addition? Add underscore plus. Okay, what is there for adding to list? So you don't, as a user, you remember only one plus sign. Plus inside it is taking care of different ways of calling different functions. That's called abstraction. So from a user perspective here, anyway, I have a function to put, I have a method called put data. I have a method called put data. So I can copy and paste it there. But why copy and paste if it's already there? So you are reusing the properties. Yes, properties of class, you are reusing it. Okay, so always reusing will make your program shorter, faster, better. Okay, maintenance is easy. Tomorrow if you have to go and change, you know, I have to, if I say, no, don't put like title of the book, you say, the title of the proposed book, for example. Now, title of the proposed book, you will have to go and find everywhere where this text is there. Okay, but when you have only one copy, you know that only one place I will change, everywhere it will get reflected automatically. Okay, so that is called abstraction. Then we'll talk about polymorphism, multiple forms. Okay, so now let's say you have books data here. Books data also has put data. And what I'll do is, I will take this one and I will put data here also. Now here, both child and parent has put data. Then which put, so what I'll do, I'll delete it, okay? Because again you have to create assign the values to this variable. That is assigned to the books one, not to this. So I have to add here, I have to add here self dot title and self dot author. Now just take this one. Now if both has put data, okay, so when you call it, so see, the local one is called. So when you have multiple choice, okay, the one which is nearest to you will be called. So now earlier put data was not there in text third one, the text display or whatever, last one that we created. It was not there. So it was going and checking in the parent's parent, it will check. And if it doesn't find, it will say error. In this case, it found in parent, so it gave. Now, if child also has, it's like you and your father has car. If you already have, then you won't be using your parent's car. Because the nearest to you is your own. If you do not have, then you will access his car. Just like this. So if you have same properties, same method in this class also and parent class also, the one which is near, okay, the self one will be called, not the parent. Now, what if, okay, okay, sure, we'll do that. Now, let's say we have one child class and two parent class, right? Or let's say three parent class. Okay. All three are parent. Did I share for him? Yeah. Now, both of them have, let's say, a function, a method. So if this has a, this a will be called. Now this one has three parent. There are three a's, okay, and I create an object of this, and I call a. Which a will be called? Okay, so whichever nearest. Let's say if this is your x, y, z, and this is your p. So how do we create this? We'll say class p x y z, like that we'll call, right? Now which is nearest to p? X. So all three are parent, but p is closer to x than y and z, right? So if you need money, if your mother is closer to you, you'll ask your mother, right? Something like that. Okay, so z is closer, so you'll ask, or x is closer, so this a will be called. Now if I write p y z x, in this case, now let's say y does not have a, this is b, then which is the nearest? Z. So this a will be called. Okay, so when you have multiple forms, you need to know which one to call. Okay, so nearest one will be called. So if they don't have it, they don't have it, then you have grandparent. The grandparent's properties will be called. Okay, so this is how you can call function with same name. Okay, now you guys don't know Java, so I don't have to explain. But Java has little more complexity to the polymorphism form. It's more complex, but Python is very simple. Python will never have doubt on which function to call. It will say whichever is near to me, I will call. Okay, so this is called your polymorphism. The last property that we'll talk about is called data hiding or encapsulation. We'll do it tomorrow. Okay, so encapsulation is, so this is reverse. Parent doesn't want, Z doesn't want A to be accessed by child. You'll ask your father, give me your car. Father says, no, I will not give you. So how can you stop the data from being accessed? Is encapsulation, hiding. Encapsulation is encapsulating, hiding. So the child will not know that the parent class has a property. So you can hide your properties. That's what we'll talk about tomorrow. Okay.